Hi there, Graham from Penguin Motors here. Right, what have I got today? I've got cam testing and upgrades. And the question is, you've got an engine, makes 180 odd horsepower. Should you upgrade the cam for more? Or should you upgrade the exhaust to maybe induction system? So perhaps that's what you're here to find out today. So let me give you a bit of background. Last year I tested a whole load of cams and a couple stuck in my mind, given that we were on Dyno 2.1 here with its Burton CNC race head, forged pistons, steel rods, and it was fitted at the time with a pair of 45 DCOEs and 38mm chokes. And one of the cams I ran up on it was a GTS5. It made from memory 183 or 4 horsepower. And later on, I also ran up a GTS4. That lost a chunk of low down power, but actually that went on to make 190 horsepower. So cam test done and dusted, and off I went. And then I thought, well, could I get the GTS5 to match the power of the GTS4 with an exhaust swap and or an induction swap? So that's what I actually did. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the stages of the back-to-back on the GTS4, the GTS5, the upgrades, and then finally, because I decided, well, let's try the same upgrades that I did on the GTS5 on the GTS4 and see what that got. So, are you ready, boys? Should we make some noise? So there you go. That's a good comparison between two cams here, isn't it? GTS4 runs away at the top end with 190 horsepower, so 6 more horsepower, but it certainly loses out lower down. So kind of, where do you want the power? But this is where I did think, well, if the 5 is so much stronger lower down, if we can help with induction or exhaust maybe, can we match the 190 odd brake of the GTS4? So the first thing I did, which I wasn't sure if 180 horsepower would make a big difference or not, but the first thing I did was switch out our small bore 421 mild steel washy type manifold for a 2¼ inch Simpson. So there we go. That Simpson manifold really picked up that GTS5, because we've now, within an actual cot, we've matched the whole of top end power of the GTS4 cam. We've improved it slightly low down. In the middle it's about the same. So that's a bit of a win-win. Now, although we didn't test it, I'm pretty certain from other tests I've done, if I'd have used the big bore 3-piece Ashley manifold, we'd have done it even better at the top, but it would have hurt power low down. So yeah, so here's the answer. If you've got a engine making 180 odd horsepower and you want more, you definitely have two options. You could step up to GTS4 cam, which will stick you up 190 odd brake, or maybe you can fit a Simpson exhaust manifold. And to be honest, there ain't much difference cost wise, because we all know the Simpson manifold is getting on for 4 figures in price. I don't know the exact price, but it's getting on for 1,000. But what price the cam and a cam swap? But in this instance, you've got to say that if you're going to do a cam swap or an exhaust manifold swap, you do the manifold swap because you haven't got to go inside the engine. So what's next? Well, looking at that graph, we came real close to pipping the GTS4 everywhere. So next up, I thought I'd try some carb chokes. As I said earlier, the carbs are on 38mm chokes. So I thought I'd give a set of 40s a go. Now, 40mm chokes are getting a bit big to go in a 45 DCOE. What you tend to lose the Venturi effect, the suck on the mains, so it tends to hurt low down power for no real top end increase. But until you test it, you can't be sure. So let's run another test, this time with the 40mm chokes. Right, so here we go. In green, we've got the power curve with the bigger 40mm chokes. And all I've done with graph is, it was looking rather messy, so I've took the torque off, so we're only looking at power. But if you look at the green line carefully, you see at no point as the green dipped below the previous run. So we didn't lose any torque anywhere. So not a big gain, but we got a gain nonetheless. And this kind of goes back to what I said, that a 40mm choke is really getting a bit too big for a 45mm carb. By the time you get to that point, the choke is no longer overly restrictive in terms of airflow through the carb. So there's an easy way to prove that. What I'm going to do, we're going to run it yet again, but this time we're going to step up to a set of 48mm carbs, but we're going to keep the same 40mm choke size. And if we see a power gain on the 48s, we're proving that A, the engine wants more air, but B, by the time you get to put in the 40mm choke and 45 carb, it's the throttle blades and the auxiliary venturis in the carb that are probably restricting the airflow, not the choke size. So cue another dyno run, 48s with 40mm chokes. So you ready, boys? Should we make some more noise? So how did we do? Well, slightly predictably, we picked up power at the very top end and we lost it lower down. And depending which bit of the graph you look at some stages we were up on 45s, and at other points we were down on the 45s. So really, it kind of shows that at this specification, this power level, this cam, you're kind of at a crossover point whether it really wants the bigger carbs or not. Perhaps depending what you're doing, because if you're going down a drag strip, the 48s were probably the better choice. Most other circumstances, probably not. So where does that leave us? Well, I think we're kind of done here, really. We've more than proved that looking at the two different cams, we can match the hotter cam by upgrading and take an exhaust on the bottom one. But what if we'd done those same upgrades on the GTS4 cam? Well, what I'm going to leave you at the end of this clip are two side-by-side graphs showing the GTS4 and the GTS5 with the original specification, small bore exhaust on the 45s, and the Simpson and the 48s. But it is to be worth noting that even looking at that, well, if you look at the GTS4, there was still power on the table, because in another test with a even bigger exhaust and some bigger chokes and 50mm carbs, the GTS4 went way past 200 horsepower. But that's another story, that's another video.